Abhinav,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
okay, so we'll start.
Sir, I had a doubt in the last class.
Ah,
Sir, in the diagram, can you point out where the space per threaded is? Maybe it will help me understand what exactly it is.
okay, okay. See, uh, when we talk about space per thread or uncovered portion or cover factor, all these three parameters are estimated or considered based on a projection. You understand projection?
Yes, sir.
So, because look, for example, this is cross section of yarn in the fabric. So, if you take perpendicular here, tangent at x, tangent at this, so this gives complete projection. And similarly, there will be another yarn adjacent to this. So space is not the distance between this point and the next yarn point, but space is empty space in between. So it is just an expression showing space on the surface of the projection. So you cannot exactly show on the fabric surface what is P minus D upon P. But you know what is P here. You know what is D here. So P minus D over P. For the right now, P minus D is only this much. Is it correct?
Yes, sir.
So space per thread is P minus D, that means this much divided by P. So in this diagram, between two thread space is this much. So how much will be space per thread? This divided by this P, original P.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
That is called P minus D over P. Okay, because why I am taking P minus D over P, because complete space per thread is, because we are considering unit cell. Unit cell means क्या है कि एक yarn plus space, then एक yarn plus space, one yarn plus space. That means per thread total space is from here to here, but actual space is only P minus D, this much. So what will be space per thread? This divided by total space. So space per thread means it's not the space means empty space. Space means total space. Okay. Uh, so the next is, so what we have discussed: jammed cloth, square cloth, and square jammed cloth. We have derived release expression for these three conditions: only jammed, only square, and the fabric which is jammed as well as square. Then we have derived thread space per thread, and also we have derived uncovered portion. Okay. Now a fabric is a square cloth of more open structure. Uh, because from cover point of view, there is a classification. When we will discuss cover factor chapter, I will discuss at that time. Normally, we classify all the fabrics into three categories. like 0 to 50% covered is a low covered fabric. 50 to 75% is medium cover fabric. 75 to 100% is a heavy cover fabric. And you know what is the importance of cover factor? Cover factor basically decides, I have discussed you last class, permeability. So we have many fabrics which are net-like structures whose cover factor is less than 50%. Maybe if you consider like fishing net or uh, sports net, their cover factor is hardly 2% or 3%, something like that. But there are some fabrics, for example, filter fabric, the cover factor can be, depending on what kind of filter we want to produce. But when you go to apparel fabric, most of the fabrics which we wear, the cover goes up to, 80 to 90% or 95%. And when we produce fabric for barrier resistance, for example, PP, all PP kits, pathogen resistance, then cover should be ideally 100% or even more than 100%. So meaning of more than 100% concept I had given you yesterday, if you recall, yarn overlaps. So one yarn comes over the other yarn so that the projection will also not be considered. That is what the concept of uh, fabric which is less open, more open, or uh, completely closed means completely covered fabric. So that's there is a lot of classification based on this. We are not discussing those classification now. We are considering, mathematically how we express those fabrics. So this is another category. So in such fabrics, the question is asked, what should be the crimp? So we have a formula here. As you know, D means H1 plus H2. We have discussed yesterday. H1 is 4 upon 3 P2 C1. H2 is 4 upon P1 C2. Also, you know this relationship. So capital D will be D1 plus D2. Substitute this, then capital D becomes this. Also, we have the equation of yarn diameter, which couple of yarn diameter equation will be taught to you, but if it is, it must be taught to you. Professor Istiak will teach you in the class. Remember, there is one diameter of yarn formula is 34.14 into root V upon root N. N is count, V is called specific volume of the yarn. That is volume per unit mass. Okay. So in this, D1 will be root V1 upon root N1 multiplied by 34.14. Similarly, it will be for D2. When in D1 is equal to D2, V1, V2, N1, N2, they all become V and N. Similarly, when P1 is equal to P2, C1 is equal to C2, like we are saying here, it is a square cloth. So P2, P1 becomes P, C1, C2 becomes C. So D1 plus D2 becomes 4 upon 3 taken common PC square root PC square root, and here also expression for diameter becomes this. When you equate this, you will get, so 2 cancel out, 4 upon 3 P root C becomes 34.14 root V upon root N. And just I'm shifting to next slide, what we call from that root C becomes this much. So I've not done anything, just root C taken one side, rest of the things other side. So root C becomes this. V is there, N is there, P is there. And approximately, if you square both these sides, C will equal to 656 V N P square. For a cotton fabric, the specific volume V is equal to 1.1. Okay, this is experimental value. Normally, if you take a cotton fabric, and this figure comes taking a lot of assumption. Cotton fabric, I told you yesterday, packing factor we take 0.65 or 0.66. So experimental value for V is 1.1 only for cotton fabric. So that means we have taken cotton yarn. And also we have a relationship for cover factor is this. So you have to please remember these two equations which I have not taught you, but I will give you later for this cover factor. K is equal to 1000 P into root n. What is written here? This is a relationship for cover factor. And we will come to this chapter maybe after 2-3 lecture. So you please note down this. Cover factor is given by 1000 P into root n. N is count, P is thread spacing. And if you substitute value for this P into root n here, just square it, then you will find P square n is equal to this much, and substitute this P square n in this equation x. So P square n substitute by 10 to the power 6 divided by K square, and V is equal to 1.1 for a cotton fabric. Then you can express the C, that is crimp, in any yarn of a cotton fabric can be expressed in terms of cover factor. And that expression is this: crimp percentage approximately equal to cover factor divided by 4 whole square. You have to remember what is written at the bottom. Cover factor of a fabric is known. We can find its approximate crimp in the yarn with assumption that it is a cotton yarn whose specific volume V is equal to 1.1, and cover factor is calculated by using formula K is equal to 1000 upon P into root n. So these two things you have to remember. Although we will derive this equation for cover factor later, but right now you have to remember in this equation, these are the two basic conditions, otherwise you cannot arrive this. And this is a approximate relationship. And remember, since we are assuming V is equal to 1.1, that means this equation holds good only for cotton fabric. And you must know why it is cotton fabric, why it is not other. Specific volume means something relating to density. Volume means mass by volume. Density is mass by volume. So density means packing density. And as you know, every fiber, with you make a yarn from cotton fiber, from polyester fiber, or from acrylic or wool, the packing will be different because the crimp in the yarn is different. The diameter of all fibers are different. So packing density are different. Normally synthetic fibers are bulkier, cotton fibers are compact. So depending on nature of the fiber, packing density changes. So since it is packing density of yarn is different, packing density of fabric will be different. And that's why this value of V depends on fiber quality. So in this case, since we are talking, this is only an approximate relationship for cotton fabric, the assumption here is V is equal to 1.1. And this is a derived formula, and it's not an empirical, it is derived. We will get it later. Cover factor of the fabric is 1000 upon P into root n. Okay, so this is how approximate crimp of a fabric. When I'm saying crimp of a fabric means, you must remember, कोई fabric का crimp नहीं होता. We just telling it inadvertently. It is actually the crimp of the yarn of the fabric. Crimp is only for a property of a yarn, not fabric. But we are calculating. But if there is no fabric, there is no crimp also in case of yarn, because it is only woven fabric in which by weaving crimp is introduced. Just in next lecture you will see how crimp is introduced and how we express crimp in the immediate next lecture. But you must know when sometimes by just inadvertently we use the term crimp in the fabric. So there is nothing like crimp in the fabric. Crimp in the fabric means crimp of the yarn in the fabric. सिर्फ हम यान की क्रिम्प निकालते हैं, कपड़ों की नहीं, लेकिन ये यान कपड़ों के अंदर ही होता. जब धागा कपड़ों में जाएगा तभी जाके उसकी क्रीम पे आएगी, नहीं तो नहीं आएगी. Okay, so these are some loose term we use, but you should understand the meaning. Okay. So just like we discussed why we produce jammed fabric, similarly we must understand why we have discussed all these theoretical relationship for square cloth. What is the utility of square cloth? First, square cloth means we are mainly concerned with texture of a fabric, and that too uniform texture. So you must understand what is this texture. Just I will try to explain you. You try to understand this term. Texture is casually used by textile people for texture means something relating to aesthetics, appearance. No doubt texture relates to appearance, aesthetics, but most of the time appearance is a subjective term. People think what we visualize, what we observe by our eye. Eye is one of the sense organs. But remember, texture for textile people in woven fabric is a measurable quantity. We can express it numerically. And how it is? Texture means uniformity in appearance, which produces elegant look of a cloth. Elegant look means our visual perception. Okay. So I'm talking only the first 2 points. Then I will come to the next point, tactile. It is separate. So texture means relating to visual perception, which we look or which we see or what a cloth appears. That means what exactly we look at and how it is quantifiable, how you can express it numerically means by some absolute quantity. The method is we simply measure the thread density in different locations of the fabric. So you take for example, 1 square meter fabric. Choose any 20 position in 1 square meter fabric. And in all 20 positions random, you measure what is EPI and PPI in all 20 positions. And after getting these 20 observations, simply calculate what is standard deviation and what is coefficient of variation. So you must be knowing what is standard deviation in statistics, and you can, from standard deviation, if you know standard deviation, you can find out CV, coefficient of variation. CV is equal to standard deviation over mean into 100. Coefficient of variation is equal to standard deviation over mean into 100, expressed in percentage. So higher is CV, poor is texture. That means more is non-uniform look of the fabric. Lower is CV, means uniform is fabric, or texture is better, means fabric gives elegant look. So that is what meaning of texture, which can be expressed statistically by quantification by the way I explained you. Okay. Similarly, this is what we consider here, cream and cover, because cover means something we see, and from where we find out what should be this value for square fabric. Question was raised, what is the necessity to find mathematical relationships for square fabric? And answer is, the term square relates to texture of a fabric. Then I explain how texture of a fabric can be measured, which can be expressed numerically, quantitatively. And if you are producing a square cloth where the properties of warp and weft are same, means D1 is equal to D2, P1 is equal to P2, C1 is equal to C2, L1 is equal to L2, everything is same, then the fabric looks uniform, means texture of a fabric is very good and the visual perception of cloth is elegant. That is what the meaning. And mostly this term is used for apparel fabric. Okay. Similarly, I have used another term here. It has nothing to do with this chapter, but this is another term which we will discuss later. You have a chapter called fabric hand, which is derived from low stress mechanical properties. So when we'll start teaching mechanics of textile structure, at that time I will tell you what is hand value. Hand is similarly a tactile perception. Just like texture is a visual perception, hand is a tactile perception, means what is the reaction of our skin. Skin is also another sense organ, like eye is one sense organ, skin is also another sense organ. When you touch a fabric, what is the perception, means how our skin reacts to the fabric. That is called fabric hand value. And remember, it is also in textile quantifiable. When you will come across some higher courses in textile, you will find these hand value can be measured. We have instrument. You can have a look to our lab. There is a lab called Kawabata lab, KES, Kawabata Evaluation System, and there is a set of equipment by which we measure what is the hand value, means feel of the cloth. If you touch the cloth, what you feel. So this is basically a system which translates senses into numbers. Remember, this is an instrument, this is a system, this is an evaluation technique which translates senses into numbers. That is called tactile. Just like I explained texture, which is visual. So this is tactile properties. We call it hand value of the fabric or fabric hand. Okay. And I already told you how texture is measured, and texture can be engineered. This is what the main objective of this subject. Texture can be engineered. We can, because we know what is texture, we know how texture can be improved, we know what to do in fabric so that texture can be enhanced by using square fabric. That means texture can be engineered. If you want to produce a better texture fabric, and we know what to do because we can measure the texture. That is the conclusion. Texture can be engineered. Meaning of texture can be engineered means we can produce or develop a fabric of definite texture value by mathematical calculation. That is what the meaning is. Okay, so I'm switching to next. Texture, a complex element of fabric quality. I have explained all this, so there is no need. What I explained, it is written here. Okay, this also I have already explained you, and this is about cover. Then this is next one. Prediction of fabric properties, fabric thickness, fabric cover, fabric mass, and fabric specific volume. Some of the factors we have already discussed. Already we know fabric specific volume, fabric mass, GSM formula I have given you in tutorial class in all the groups, and fabric cover I have explained you yesterday, but we have a systematic chapter subsequently where all the formula will be derived how to find out cover of the fabric. But in this, these are very 4 important properties for a fabric, and we will discuss here only the first one. Other 3 you have already got some idea, some formula also you know already. But now I want to explain what is fabric thickness. Yesterday in the last, there was a tutorial class. I have given some idea to that tutorial class. What is fabric thickness? Somebody, I forgot his name. Somebody answered also correctly. So that is what written here. Look at fabric thickness. Fabric thickness for a circular yarn cross section. Because it is, we are discussing everything in the context of Pierce geometry, and you know from the beginning all our assumptions of Pierce geometry. One of the assumption is yarn cross section is a circle. In that case, If it is a two-dimensional fabric, that is, fabric is made using one warp and one weft, then obviously at any point of time, if our warp is in close contact with weft, that means one circle is touching to another circle. One circle can touch to another circle only at one point. This you know in mathematics, where if you draw a tangent, the tangent will touch to both the circles at one point. And if your cross section of the fabric is a circle, and if the fabric is made in such a manner, just warp is touching to weft at one point, then definitely the thickness of the fabric will be d1 plus d2, because the d1 is the diameter of warp, d2 is diameter of weft. In practice, it does not happen because of many reasons. Sometimes the warp does not touch to exactly the weft. So look at here. There is a possibility that this warp will make a gap over weft because it is bending. When it will bend, not necessarily this will touch, because in this case it is touching not at one point, over a distance. And why it is touching over a distance? Because flattening has taken place. The cross section is no more a circle. Yarn is compressible. Yarn has got compressed. That means this warp touching this weft over a distance, not at just one point. This is one extreme situation. Other extreme situation is that it may happen that there is a gap between warp and weft. So in that case, the yarn's cross section will remain circle. This warp will be a circle, weft will be a circle. There is a gap. That means that's why you are considering this H1, H2. Remember, H1, H2. So if warp is complete circle, weft is complete circle, and warp is touching to weft just at one point, then definitely our H1 plus H2 will be D, and D1 plus D2 will be also D, and it will be fabric thickness T. So in that case, T will be equal to just exactly sum total of diameter of warp and diameter of weft. But it may not happen, as I said, in two extreme cases. That's why the fabric thickness formula is not just D1 plus D2. The formula is something different, and this formula is H1 plus D1 or H2 plus D2, whichever is greater. Why it is greater? The greater comes only when yarn is not touching. The H is different. H is crimp amplitude. So crimp amplitude will remain same as sum total will remain same as yarn diameter only when it is touching to each other at one point. But since it may not touch, it may be create a gap. So crimp amplitude will be different. In that's why what we do to find the fabric thickness, we find H1 plus D1 and H2 plus D2 separately, then we see which one is larger. We consider that large value, a greater value, as the fabric thickness. But if H1 plus D1 is equal to H2 plus D2, in this case, fabric gives minimum thickness. We are assuming yarn is a circle. They are just touching to each other. That means it is not getting compressed. So we get minimum thickness only when H1 plus D1 is equal to H2 plus D2. But if they are varying, one of these two terms is larger, definitely it is not minimum thickness, it is maximum thickness. So we should not use the term maximum thickness, a large dimension of H1 plus D1 or H2 plus D2, then in that case we consider this first formula. But if this is true, H1 plus D1 is equal to H2 plus D2, then obviously we get the thickness of the fabric as minimum. And since both are same, when the fabric thickness is minimum, obviously if you add these two, it will be twice of thickness, divided by 2 will be capital D, or H1 is equal to D minus D. So this will be the condition for fabric minimum thickness. This is the formula for fabric actual thickness. Such a fabric produces a smooth surface if fabric thickness is minimum. What happens to quality of the fabric? That means they are touching just one each other. Warp is just touching to weft at one point, and the circularity of the cross section is maintained. So normally those fabrics gives you smooth surface, because if you look at the crimp amplitude, it's not pointed amplitude. It is very smooth. Circularity of the yarn is maintained. So the surface of the fabric is a very smooth, and any fabric whose surface is smooth always gives you uniform texture and also minimum or lowest abrasion resistance. If surface is uneven, abrasion resistance is high. So these are the two properties one can also make out from these geometrical conditions: the smoothness of the surface, abrasion resistance of the fabric, and of course what I told you earlier, texture, uniform texture, which gives elegant look to the fabric. So this is how the thickness, surface appearance, texture, they are correlated, and this is geometrical condition for these properties. Okay. Okay, this is coming repeatedly. You can note down this point, although I have already given you in tutorial class. Fractional cover means D upon P. This already you know. D upon P is fractional cover, diameter over spacing. So K1 is warp fractional cover, K2 is weft fractional cover. That means K1 is equal to D1 upon P1, K2 is equal to D2 upon P2. And we are subtracting this product of these two, and I have already told you why we are subtracting, because when we are calculating fabric cover factor, we are taking some place which is considered twice. Look at D upon P is cover K1, D2 upon P2 is K2, and this is the area. Look at my cursor, is taken considered twice while taking the cover. Cover is nothing but area covered occupied by yarn over the total area of the fabric. When we are considering this area twice, because once we are taking for warp, once we are taking for weft, but this is a common area. So to subtract once, we take this, and I will give you a formula, exactly calculation. You will find how it is coming. But remember this now. D1 upon P1 is equal to K1, D2 upon P2 is equal to K2, and this D formula is used taking a general equation I have already given you, that D is equal to 1 upon 28 under root count. That factor comes from there, from the diameter. So this is the formula for fabric cover, fractional fabric cover, and multiplying by 28 and taking 28.02 is equal to 28 approximately, we get a fabric cover factor. This is, remember, fractional cover, but this is cover factor. Just why this cover factor is calculated? We want to make a simple formula. Just for the sake of convenient of calculation, we multiply 28, which gives you fabric cover factor. So in fabric fractional cover, when you multiply by 28, approximately actual value is 28.02. Just approximate it 28, we get fabric cover factor is equal to K1 plus K2 minus K1 into K2 divided by 28. So that is approximately formula for fabric cover factor. Okay, you need not remember this. I have already given you one formula for fabric mass, GSM. This is in a different, because in that I have given another but it is the same formula. There is no problem. Text is taken and end density is taken, crimp is taken. You will get the same result. Only thing you should know conversion. You know, if it is whether the yarn count is given text or in count, English count or denier. So you convert to that and you can find out the GSM. So nothing to worry. It is the same formula of GSM value which we have discussed. Fabric specific volume, if you know the mass, if you know the volume, you can find out specific volume, that is fabric thickness divided by fabric mass. This formula also I have given you in tutorial class to all the groups, where I have assumed fabric packing factor is volume, you know, VF upon VF. So VF are respectively fiber and fabric specific volume. So small f is for specific volume of fiber and capital F is specific volume of fabric. The ratio between fiber specific volume to fabric specific volume is called fabric packing factor. So this relationship you must remember. Fabric packing, just like yarn packing factor. I have explained you yarn packing factor in the tutorial class. It is cross-sectional, sum total cross-sectional area of all the fibers in the cross-section divided by total area of the cross-section of the yarn. Similarly here, fabric packing factor, and where you can find out if you know what is packing factor of fiber, specific volume of fiber and specific volume of the fabric. Okay, quickly note down one numerical for all the students, although we will do more numericals on tutorial class. Note down this formula quickly. So here diameter of warp is given D1 6 mils. I have given the conversion of mils. Mils is a British unit. 1 inch is equal to 1000 mil. Means 1 mil means 1000th of a each. And conversion mil to millimeter is 1 mil is equal to 0.0254 millimeter. This is the conversion of mils. So D1 is 6 mils. N1 upon N2 square root is 0.82. N is count of yarn. C2 is 13%. Theta 1 is equal to 0.51 radian weave angle. K1 warp cover is 11. K2 weft cover is 9. Here it is asked find fabric thickness and find fabric if the fabric is jammed or not. From these data, you have to say whether fabric is jammed or not. So you already know the condition for jamming. We have three conditions for jamming. One is warp jamming, another is weft jamming, and if the fabric is jammed both warp and weft way. We have already derived what is the mathematical condition if the fabric is jammed. So if in any question it is asked, tell us whether the fabric is jammed, then you have to test warp jamming and weft jamming both and tell whether it is meeting that condition or not. If it is not meeting, then fabric is not jammed. If it is meeting that condition, then fabric is jammed. Okay. So quickly you can note down. It is very simple, just so that you know it is a there may be variation in tutorial class. So it is a common question. Everybody should know. K1 is 11, and as I told you, K1 is equal to 2080 D1 upon P1. Just now I have given you that formula, cover factor. P1 is 15.272 from this, because you know D1, diameter of yarn is given 6 mils. From where you can find out P1. Then H2 is 4 upon 3 P1 C2. C1 is given. P1 just now you found in the first line. From where you can find out H2. And you must know this relationship. Look at my cursor. D1 upon D2 square root is equal to N1 upon N2. This is a common sense. Diameter of any yarn is a function of count of yarn. in direct system. In indirect system, it will be reciprocal. This is a direct system. So direct system is text and denier. Indirect system is English count. So diameter, as you go on increasing the dia of yarn or the count of yarn, then obviously the dia will accordingly change. So this relationship you remember from where you can find out n1 upon n2 square root is given here. D2 is here. You can find out the value of D1 and substituting the D1 value, you can find out D2. D2 is coming this much. Then from where you can find out K2. Okay, 28 D2 upon P2. Then you got P2 value. Now H1 plus H2 is equal to D. H1 is this much, D minus H2. You got H1. Then all four terms you have already got. H1, H2, D1, D2. And fabric thickness formula is H1 plus D1 or H2 plus D2, whichever is larger. We got H2 plus D2 is larger one, and the fabric thickness is 12.2618 mils. Remember, in such questions, you have to try for both H1 plus D1 and H2 plus D2. Whichever is larger, you get that as the fabric thickness. After this, you can find out theta 1, theta 2. Already we know this formula, approximate formula. Theta 1 is root 2 C1. We have derived this formula from where you can find out weave angle of warp. Then testing of jamming. For weft jamming, we know Pt is equal to d sin theta 2. You are getting this value, which is P2 value already we have calculated. It's not the same. That means it is not jammed. Similarly, for warp jamming, P1 is equal to d sin theta 1. Substitute the theta 1 value from here. You find out and you are getting this value. Compare with P1 you have calculated. Also, you will find it is not even jammed in warp direction. If the fabric is not jammed in neither in warp nor in weft, obviously it will not be jammed as a whole. So it is not a jammed fabric. Okay. So this is how the procedure is. You must follow this, remember, in principle, and you can calculate this. Okay. So I am closing this. I am starting the next chapter. Just you hold on. I am changing this slide. Abhinav, can you see the slide now?
Yes.
Okay. So your next chapter is crimp interchange phenomena. So we will learn more about crimp of fabric. Okay, let us see first, then I will give you what is the idea, why we study this chapter. Now you can see crimp. As I said, we just loosely talk crimp in the fabric. It is actually crimp in the yarn, as you can see. When warp and weft yarn interlace in fabric during weaving process, the yarn follow a wavy path. They are not straight. So this wavy path inserts crimp in the yarn. So crimp geometrically considered is the percentage excess of length of yarn axis over the cloth length. And you have done it probably. If you have done your experiment in textile testing, we calculate. We unravel a thread from the fabric, then we stretch it to remove the crimp. Then we take the length of straightened yarn and we take the length of yarn in the fabric, take the difference expressed in percentage, we call it crimp percentage. And this is how we see in the actual fabric how the crimp looks like. Okay, this is what the basic concept of crimp. And in this context, in Pierce symmetry, we have already calculated crimp amplitude H1, H2. So we have two parameters to indicate crimp in fabric geometry. Crimp in absolute value expressed in fraction or percentage. Crimp can be expressed in fraction or multiplied by 100 means crimp percentage. Or crimp in fabric appears in the form of crimp amplitude. Look at H1, H2. So this is a mistake which I have written capital H1. It's not capital. We always express crimp in small h. H1, small h2. You know already crimp amplitude. Amplitude means this is from the central axis of the fabric. Look at this dotted line is the central axis of the fabric. So from here, what is the amplitude? This distance. And similarly in weft, what is the amplitude from here to here? So for weft center, amplitude is h2, from warp amplitude is h1. That means the idea of showing you this diagram is we express crimp in two different ways, either in terms of fraction value C1 or percentage C percentage crimp percentage, or amplitude H1, H2. H1 is 4 upon 3, C1, you know, C2 over P1, that already you have derived this formula. And in fabric, the crimp is remained like this. Okay. Then you have already come across this derivation. C is equal to L minus P over P. We have derived this in basic 7 Pierce equation. And if you take the cross section of a fabric, you find this is like this. So if it is a warp yarn, then this is a weft yarn cross section. And this is a cross section of the fabric. They appear like this. We express crimp in this way. L1 minus P2 over P2. This is the warp crimp. Weft crimp will be L2 minus P1 over P1 will be weft crimp. Multiply by 100, it is percentage. Okay. Now coming to this term. Before I explain you what is crimp ratio and crimp interchange, first understand why we are interested to calculate crimp in the yarn. Crimp is a very crucial geometrical parameter or constructional parameter of a fabric which decides many properties. One of the most important property of fabric which is completely governed by crimp is fabric extensibility and fabric modulus. Look at this. If there is a crimp in the yarn of the fabric, as you see here, if this crimp is larger and larger, and when this fabric will be loaded with a tensile load which will be applied in axial direction. If this crimp is large, when I'm applying a tensile load to this fabric, the load is ultimately applied to the yarn. And if it is in warp direction, the load will be in the warp yarn. Then what will happen? The yarn will not break, fabric will not break immediately. First, it will start straightening this crimped yarn in the fabric. And if this crimp is high, that means it can be extended to a longer distance. That means the load elongation curve will tilt towards your extension axis or strain axis. And extension axis is always x-axis. Load axis is always y-axis. That means the curve will tilt towards extension axis. And if it is tilting towards extension axis, it shows fabric gives low modulus. If the curve tilts towards load axis, means the fabric gives you high modulus. So that is what the judgment of the modulus of a cloth in the fabric or modulus of any material, as you know. If we are plotting modulus, we get from the stress strain diagram. So if the curve is tilting towards stress axis, that is y-axis, then modulus is high. If the curve is tilting towards extension axis or strain axis, the modulus is low. So in a woven fabric, this is the crimp in the yarn which is responsible to give the fabric, whether it is a highly extensible fabric or low extensible fabric, or high modulus fabric or low modulus fabric. Okay, this is the most important. Apart from this, there are many other properties which are governed by this crimp. Another fabric in this diagram, you can better understand. Look at, if the crimp is more and I want to compress this cloth. Compression means reducing thickness. When we try to find out the compressibility of a cloth or any material, even any structure, compression means we apply a load in thickness direction and see how easily the thickness reduces. That is called compression modulus, compression energy. And after deloading, when the load is removed, we also see how quickly it recovers to its original position. That is compression recovery. That is resilience. So crimp is another key parameter of a fabric which will decide what will be compressibility of a cloth. And we know compressibility is very, very important for our comfort. If a fabric is very, very harsh, is not compressible, then we feel uncomfortable. Okay. Also, crimp will decide the surface texture. Crimp will decide the permeability behavior. And crimp will decide the shear properties, because higher is the crimp, more is contact area between warp and weft. Remember, if this yarn will be straightened, then the contact area between warp and weft will reduce. And contact area between warp and weft gives us the friction. Higher is the contact area, more is friction. And when we'll try to measure the shear properties of this fabric, shear properties primarily depends on the contact area between warp and weft. If the contact area is more, shear resistance is more. If contact area is less, shear resistance is less, because the inter-yarn friction is less. So crimp decides many properties of the fabric, and that's the reason why we are interested to find out what is the role of crimp, how crimp is determined, and what is the importance of crimp in a woven construction from mechanics point of view. So we define the first term in this chapter is called crimp ratio. Crimp ratio is the ratio of yarn length to the fabric length produced from the yarn. This point I have already explained you. Yarn length over fabric length. See, in a fabric, you take the length from here to, let's say, here. So this is called fabric length. Remove this yarn, go for straightening, then you will find this length is larger. As you see bottom, it is straightened now, crimp is removed. So ratio of these fabric length, yarn length to fabric length is called crimp ratio. When a fabric is loaded, there is often a change in ratio of the crimp of the warp and weft system. This change is referred to as crimp interchange. This we will study in detail in this chapter. What is crimp interchange? Look at this phenomena, crimp interchange. I'll show you another diagram where probably you will understand better. Look at here. I'll explain it next class, but look at this diagram. Initially, the fabric was like this. So these vertical threads are warp This is weft. Now I have extended this cloth. What happened when we are extending? What you get? These horizontal or weft axis contracts, x-axis, that is warp axis, extended. So what is happening? One warp is extended, weft is contracted, and this happens only because of the phenomena called crimp interchange. When I'm extending in this direction, the crimp in this warp yarn gets removed, and exactly the similar amount of crimp is inserted in the transverse thread, that is weft yarn. That's why the crimp in weft yarn increases, the crimp in warp yarn decreases, and we call this phenomena crimp interchange. The reduction of crimp is called a decrimping. The increase in crimp is called upcrimping. The process as a whole called decrimping and upcrimping, and the exchange of crimp is called crimp interchange phenomena. So if I remove some amount of crimp from warp, how much crimp will be interchanged, transferred to weft, and what will happen to our basic geometrical equation of the fabric because of this phenomena, that we shall study in detail in this chapter in the next class. So I close it here. You can log out, and next class on Friday we'll discuss how much crimp is exchanged because of this phenomena. Okay, you can log out.